Hello everybody, Ian Robson, welcome to our edition of Coffee with Ian. Lovely coffee. So, for those people who've been following along here, I came back from John Deere training camp just the other day. What is it? Today's Saturday. So I came back just not too long ago, I guess it was Wednesday or something like that. And yeah, it was really neat actually. You got to try out, basically it's like a, what would you call it? Learning how to drive all the tractors and learning what the competition's doing, stuff like that. I don't know if other companies do it, but I'm assuming they do something like that. So, anyways, one of the interesting things was obviously some of the new things that are just coming out. Some things that haven't been out very long yet. So that was really cool. And I got to drive the biggest tractor I drove was the new 5R series of, not garden tractor, the new 5R series, which goes up to about 100 horsepower, something like that, which is really neat. And it's also my first experience driving a power reverser tractor as well, which is also interesting, because up until that point the only types of tractors I had driven was ones with a hydrostatic transmission. So it's got so John Deere has like a twin touch pedal, so one for forward, one for reverse sort of thing. And like Kubota has what they call a treadle pedal, so it's like you have a toe and then you have use your heel to go backwards. Mahindra is you push your toe to go forward and then you use your heel way back to go backwards. And what's the other one? Those are the big ones at least. So but they all have slightly different designs. So that's all I had driven. So basically two pedals you hit, so it's pretty easy to drive. So with a power reverser, there's a little bit more involved than, well, there's no pedal to go forward and backwards essentially. So you set your throttle, and then you set your gear range you want to be in, and then you have your power reverse, which is think of it like a little switch that goes forward or back, which was very interesting, because like I said, I'd never driven something like that before, because up until that point the biggest tractor I had driven was probably 85 horsepower, something no, less than that I think. My father-in-law's tractors, but he has all older style tractors. So when it comes to using them, you gotta clutch, put it in reverse, clutch, put it in forward if you're moving bales, for example, which is really much slower in that scenario than using the newer style tractors, which is fine. That's what he's used to. Now that I've seen now that I've tried some of the newer stuff, I'm like, wow, sheesh. That would be awesome to have. It would make our lives, I don't do that. Maybe I will this year. I don't know. I haven't been around for any kind of hay related stuff, so I haven't been around for that. So maybe this year I will actually be around for making hay and planting potatoes and harvesting potatoes, the whole 9 yards. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, it was really interesting to see what that was like. And I guess that type of technology has been around for a while. I just have never driven a tractor that size. That's the reason why I never really drove it. But it's actually not too bad. It's like a low lever. Some tractors will toss you around more than other ones. You can adjust transmission. So what did I get to try? I got to try a power reverser for the very first time, which is very interesting. A different way of moving between forward and reverse, as opposed to clutching and moving to reverse, which is what I was, up until that point, that's what I had been used to. And then what was the other one I had tried? I also tried, instead of it being just a little switch on the, think about, in a car you have a reverse, a gear lever. It's kind of like that. It's like a little lever like that behind your steering wheel where you can just switch between forward and reverse. I also got to try a forward reverse, but it was on a button. So on the 5R that I tried, the joystick for moving the loader was probably the same size as the joystick for the side panel, which was kind of funny. Let me see if I can get it here. One sec. So it was about the same size. Oh, maybe a slightly larger than this side panel joystick right here. So let's give you a comparison. That's my hand right there. So it's a bit bigger than that. And what happened was they actually had a little part that cupped the back of your hand. So when you grabbed the joystick like this, there's a little part you had to push down first, and then that would allow you to grab the joystick. And that would say, hey, it's safe to use. There we go. and that would be like, hey, it's safe to use sort of thing. And on that same joystick there was a button for a power reverser, which was kind of neat. So it's like you just hit a little button and you just go forward and reverse. So when you're doing front loader work and you're using the joystick to lift and lower the bales, you can, you know, hit that button while you're, without moving your other hand, so you can steer with one hand and then just go use the power reverse in the other hand and just go back and forth with that. Like, that was super slick. Now, of course, it's not a cheap tractor to do that, have that kind of bells and whistles on it, but it was very cool. The other thing that I got to try out, which was kind of neat, was auto. What do they call it? Declutching, I think it was a declutch button. So, but it's basically, instead of pushing your clutch with your foot, it was a button that you pushed with your joystick to move it from like your gear range 1 to gear range 2, and that would be all you need to press. You don't need to put your foot down. You just kind of hit that button and clutch between the. You can go like range 1 2, but you couldn't go from 1 2 to 3 4 with that button. I guess that's something, as far as I understood, that you couldn't do that. And I also got to try. I'm not sure what the feature's called. I think it's auto throttle. But basically what you do is you would, you know, put this gear knob into, and then there's a section would be like the auto section, and then auto throttle, and then you would set the on the little joystick there would be like a little dial, scroll wheel, that you would choose the speed you wanted to go at, and then the engine would adjust for that speed, and for that, and they would change that gear range for you, and all that stuff. So, which is kind of neat. So let's say you're doing like tedding, for example, you put it into the auto throttle, and you set to like, you know, 5 mile an hour or something like that, and then the engine would adjust like what gear it's in order to do that at that speed. And that would apply for any activity. Let's say you wanted to cultivate at like, you know, 10 miles an hour, which is actually kind of, I guess that's kind of fast. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Maybe let's say cultivate at 10 miles an hour. You set it at 10 miles an hour, and the engine will adjust itself to go into that gear, or to go at that speed, or do everything it can to maintain that speed, that sort of thing. So that was actually kind of neat to see that. So all the neat bells and whistles were all on the higher end tractors, I guess. Now I got to see some of the lawn tractors as well. So I got to drive, what did I drive? A 5R series. I got to drive a New Holland T4, I think it was. I got to drive one of the Kubota. Did I ever have a Kubota that size? Yeah, I think did I? I don't remember. I also got to drive the new 5E series, the new Model Year 18 5E series from John Deere, the old Model Year 17 John Deere 5E series, which is kind of cool. So those are the ones we didn't. I think we have a couple of those at work, but I don't really sell those things. So that's why I didn't know a lot about it. So that's why I learned the most about those things too. But my colleague, that's what he drives primarily. And well, he deals with that more than I do, so it's kind of interesting to see that side of things. Now, there's a lot going on there. Like, I only got like a small portion of it. One of the things they told me that you could do with one of those 5R series is you can actually set the height of the loader. Like, so like you press a button and it would go to loader level number 1. So let's say you're always loading the same bale every single time. So you press number 1, and that would go to the 1 height, and that would be the bale on the ground. Then you press the 2 height, and then it would go to the bale like on a trailer. And then you press the 3 height, and it'd be like the second level on the trailer. So instead of like manually doing every single time, you can just hit a button and go from like here to here to here. I think that was kind of cool. Which is funny because like in Farming Simulator, for example, you can do something similar with Courseplay with the loader control when you're unloading a bunker, for example. So I thought that was kind of neat. He told me about that. I was like, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I was very impressed by that. There's lots of stuff that I just don't know. There's just too much to know. What else? I gotta try some lawn tractors from like, what did I try? A Cub Cadet, gotta try a Hustler, Zero Turn. I gotta try, did I try a Toro Time Cutter? No, I don't think so. But I tried some of the other ones, like some of the other competitors and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see what was there and what was interesting to try and get out, do that. Gotta try all the Gators, which is, they're not too crazy. There was no construction equipment there. It was just like, you know, you basically go from lawn tractors, you go to like all the compact utility tractors, then you go up to the 5 series was the highest I go. And then they have different classes. If you want to go to like, you know, 6 series, they probably have just a class just on that. And then they also probably have, I know they have a hay training you can do as well. I'll probably won't go to that if I ever go to that, it won't be for a while yet, because I don't deal with hay stuff at all. or that size of tractor. So most of my focus isn't on ag stuff. That's my colleagues, some of my workmates sort of thing. So yeah. So it was actually a lot of fun. I got to see gators for the very first time in Florida, which is kind of interesting because I'd never seen one. For me, I was like, oh, there's a gator, don't get close to it sort of thing, and that was it. I saw there were fish everywhere there, which was just, I couldn't believe it. Like, there was a pond in front of the hotel that I stayed at, and the fish were like, you could see fish in it, and there was spawning season there, and it was just like, I wouldn't say frustrating, well, kind of frustrating, because I'm like, well, I'm not down here to fish, but now that I know that they're there, if I go there another time in the future, I might bring my fishing rod depending on what's going on. I don't know what I'm not sure what the rules are in Florida versus Canada, but I'm assuming it would be possible for a non-resident to get a fishing license for a couple days to fish, and then you need to know the rules associated with that in Florida, right? So I'm sure it'd be possible, but I wasn't sure. It was kind of my first time flying outside from like Canada to the United States, so I took like a toothbrush and that was it. Everything else I just got from the hotel if I needed it, basically. So just in case, you never know. I didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't too bad to go across the border. Still nerve-wracking because, you know, if you don't do it very often, but overall pretty good. What else did I see that was kind of interesting? I got to actually rake hay for the very first time with like a wheel rake, which was interesting, and TED it for the very first time with it was like part of the 5 series training, so you got to try using a wheel rake and then a tedder, which was kind of interesting. So I got to do that for the very first time, which was kind of neat. What else did I do? A lot of front loader stuff. They kind of showed you like how the hydraulics would work. So like, let's say if you're lifting a front loader and then turning at the same time, some tractors will be able to do that without a problem. Other tractors may not be able to do that due to the hydraulic limitations that they've put in place for themselves, basically. So stuff like that. So, and I got to see some Stihl stuff, because Stihl of course has a partnership with John Deere, so that's why I got to see some of that stuff. And Honda has a partnership with John Deere as well, so I got to see some of that stuff as well. So yeah, it was pretty neat. One of the things I've been thinking about doing, and it's still possible right now because it's not super busy at work, is I considered making a video of like one of the tractors at work, one of the smaller tractors, 'cause that's kind of what I deal with. But let me know if that's something you might be interested in, like just like a walk around, something like that. Nothing too crazy. Like I probably could drive some of them, but it would be a shaky video, I imagine. So something like that. Let me know if that's something you might be interested in or not. So anyways, that looks like it's been 13 minutes already. So that's it for me for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed. My name's Iain Robson, and until next time, enjoy the coffee. Particularly good.